Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the RAWBall Podcast 2023 NFL Draft Preview Show. Tonight, we will have our first ever run through of the first night of the NFL Draft and make our predictions. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be because I don't know many of these college players.
I feel you.
NFL fans, are you ready?
I don't have a draft pick until the third round, but yes.
Then for the
Yes,
dozens in
Christian.
attendance and the hopefully thousands watching around the world on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is the RAWBall Podcast NFL Draft Preview.
Week 10 of the RAWBall Podcast.
It has been an explosive afternoon in NFL news. We have got an exceptionally very awesome guest about to join us here in just a little bit. He is tidying up some business.
Well,
but in the
business
meantime,
pertaining to my headline.
pertaining to the headline, yes,
Holy
that's a
shit,
great
the
hashtag.
trade happened. Aaron Rodgers is officially no longer a Green Bay Packer, but a New York Jet.
It's the first time.
We've got Maggie, the podcast puppy. We've got Dev, the proud porcelain prince. Matty Laws, the holy shit, what have happened trade purveyor of shit bets. I am the captain. It is the 2023 NFL Draft Preview. We are live on the YouTube.
And while we are here, let's just throw up my money parlay.
The Matty Monday Parlay. This is a little bit of different type of Monday episode for the Raw Ballers, but fuck it. This has been a very different day in all of professional sports. Matty, let us hear your parlay.
We're playing the over-under game today, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have the Rockies and the Guardians going over 8 runs. The Red Sox and the Orioles going over 7.5 runs. I don't know how you get a half a run in baseball, but it's a bet. Over 5.5 goals for the New Jersey Devils and New York Rangers Stanley Cup playoff game. I got going over 219.5 points for Milwaukee and Miami. Both teams have been very hot with their scoring, so that's a game to watch. I also have the Maple Leafs and the Lightning going over 6.5 goals. Oh, what is up, Alec? Oh, hey.
Hello there.
Alec.
Jets are now number 1 kayfabe contender to win the Super Bowl.
Hey, you got to keep kayfabe. This is a half-ass pro wrestling podcast. We're going to be giving our good buddy we've been advertising all day the hot tag whenever he gets a moment.
But yes, also going under 10 runs will be the Athletics and the Angels, unless the Angels themselves put up 10 runs. The St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants are going to go under 8 runs. We've got Memphis and the Lakers. Oh, wow, I messed that one up. That's supposed to be the Los Angeles Lakers, not the Angels. But, yeah, they're going to go over 221 points in their playoff game. And then I've got the red-hot Colorado Avalanche and the Seattle Kraken to go over 6.5 goals.
Can't even keep thy shit bets in order.
I thought I hit L.
Well, I mean, we've all thought we've hit things at some point in life, but then, reality takes over and, we wind up waking up to reality and misery.
Speaking of reality, David brought up a little comment in the chat just a little bit ago. We got news that Punk might be backstage at Raw tonight, or was backstage for a little bit throughout the show.
Like Mussolini and Kennedy.
I always said that I could see Punk coming back to WWE, but I still think he's going to AEW before he goes back to WWE.
Will never work for Triple H or WWE again.
Exactly.
As I said in our pregame talk, while I do have a fair amount of coin invested in the stock market right now, I would almost be willing to bet that, plus my personal savings and what's in my checking account, that CM Punk will never appear in a WWE ring again.
Cap, I am baffled. Looking at my bets right now, the Rockies are up on the Guardians, 5-0.
Well, the Rockies took a general pounding yesterday, thanks to Zach Wheeler. He gave up a couple of runs early, but then he just shat them down. I didn't say shut them down. I said he shat them down.
Sure.
Well, speaking of, apparently Saraya wants to get a twat chant going on in AEW.
Oh, lovely.
Well, for those of us who have seen Saraya's backstage videos, shall we say, her extracurricular activity videos, I know this guy knows what I'm talking about. For those of us who have seen her such endeavors, I'm not surprised, but I'm also intrigued. He was briefly spoke to Miz and Trips and was asked to leave.
It's a publicity stunt. The show is in Illinois. Phil will never be in WWE again.
No, he will not. Phil Brooks will never work for Paul Levesque because Paul and Shawn Michael Hickenbottom, for those of you who didn't know Shawn Michael's real name, Shawn Michael Hickenbottom and Paul.
Isn't it Michael Sean? Isn't it Michael Hickenbottom?
I think Shawn is his last name's Hickenbottom. He will never work for those guys because they did everything they possibly could the entire time he was there to bury him.
Mm-hmm.
And CM Punk was one of the smart guys during that era, saved his money, sort of like me. Saraya is very limber in her acting career. For sure.
Wow, Dave. Holy
damn.
shit.
You know, for the fact that you had the balls to post that, I'm going to forget that you tried to insult me by saying that both Kenny Omega and I have highlights.
I mean, Omega does have highlights and extensions. Maybe you should get extensions, Cap.
My hair's long. This is real shit. I just had some color put in it.
I would jokingly put extensions in my hair just to get it extended. Oh, speaking of.
Ladies and gentlemen, the RAWBall Podcast first round NFL draft pick has arrived. He is Tom motherfucking Grossi.
Come on, gents, how we doing?
Fantastic. How about you, brother?
I'm assuming a little better than you, maybe?
Slow news day. There's really nothing going on.
Not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, I know we invited you on to do this draft preview.
Yeah.
You know, we were excited to have you on, obviously, because you're Tom Grossi. You're the most awesome thing in, you know, sports entertainment today. But, you know, we were hoping for there to be just a little bit more going on.
Yeah.
But then about an hour and a half, there was a little tiny, teeny, weeny, titty bit of news that broke. And we are proud to have you on here to get your take on the WTF of what just occurred in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm going to ask Maddie and Dev to sit out for a minute. Tom, what is going on with this? The floor is yours.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. It's one, it's bittersweet, but two, I feel like it has lost a good amount of its impact. Like, in terms of shock, Devontae Adams 100% like was more than this, because it was all this lead up, all this build up. And this is, we've been doing this for years now, right? Every offseason, it's like, all right, is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Like, what's going to happen? Is he going to retire? Was that the last time? Like, we've done this now, 3 off seasons in a row? So it gets.
Well, you also did 3 off seasons in a row about 15 years ago with.
Correct.
Yes, a certain gentleman.
One Brett Favre. Yes. So
yes.
That happens, right? But then it happens. He announces it on McAfee that he intends to play for the Jets. And it still is like this. Again, you expected it, you anticipated it, but it was like, oh crap, like this is real. But then it takes like a month and a half of just fighting on Twitter, leverage, just like every fan base saying like, oh, we're going to win this trade. Oh, it might not happen till August. That came out today that it might not happen till August. And it's just thing after thing after thing. I was just surprised that it happened today because I really thought they were going to take this down to the wire until like Thursday or Friday. But it has happened. And now I'm just like, I'm glad it's done. Looking at the actual trade, I am beyond happy for what we got for Aaron Rodgers. And I truly think that it's like a really big win for both organizations because really, if you break it down, the Jets didn't give up a ton, but what the Packers were able to get from it is great, considering that this is a guy who was owed $60 million and wasn't going to play on the team anymore. And everybody knew that. I mean, obviously, two completely different positions, realms, but like Amari Cooper, same exact idea, got a 5th round pick, right? Like that's what he was worth. Here, we got what is almost guaranteed to be a 1st round pick next year, which most importantly is not contingent on him playing next season. He might literally just be one and done for the Jets. Like he might show up and be like, all right, I'm done now. And then and that's it. And we still get a 1st round pick if he plays 65% of snaps, which he did on a broken thumb this past season. So that's a home run. We get an additional 2nd round pick in a draft that is not really like great after the top 15 picks. And so we get a 2nd round pick, which is great. We move up 2 spots. And as I said, we wipe $60 million off the books. So
well, let's go into before we get into the actual the nuts and bolts of the draft order, the actual nickels and dimes of this trade with the Jets and the Packers. For the purposes of this show, I obviously have the Packers moving up to 13 and the Jets moving down to 15. What are the other? What else?
What else is in the trade?
How is this working?
Yeah, so here's what the Jets get. The Jets, they move down 2 spots, so they have the 15th overall pick instead of the 13th.
Right.
They get a 5th round pick this year, and they get Aaron Rodgers. That's what they get, right? Then the Packers, they move up 2 spots, so they get the 13th pick. They get a free 2nd round pick, which is the 42nd overall pick, which works for the Jets, by the way, because they got a 2nd round pick for Elijah Moore when they traded him to the Browns. So they still get to keep their 2nd round pick and their 1st. So that's a home run for them. We get a 6th round pick, which we didn't have before. So we basically swapped our 5th and 6th round pick. And then we get that conditional 2024 2nd round pick, which could turn into a 1st.
Depending on how many snaps he plays. Yeah. Conditional.
So unless he's like injured, and he gets catastrophically injured, we're getting a 1st round pick next year. But again, this works for the Jets because it's likely going to be high 20s, low 30s, because they're going to be a better football team. So if you were to ask any Jets fan, hey, would you give up a 2nd round pick, moving down 2 spots, and a 1st round pick next year for Aaron Rodgers in a Super Bowl window? I'm pretty sure every Jets fan would say yes.
Okay. And again, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the 1st round draft, I know I've got you for a limited amount of time based on the amount of work you're having to do tonight.
It's all good.
With that being said, and the Jets getting this conditional pick, Rodgers going. The Jets obviously had a great draft last year. Offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. Yep. The Jets may have let's not quite stop the presses, but the Jets may actually finally be figuring out this whole draft thing. With this addition of A-Raj, where do you see the Jets legitimately? I'm sure Vegas odds are going to change based on everything we've seen today. Where are you seeing the Jets? Are you seeing them wild card, division winner? What are you seeing for the Jets 2023? Because we can't really guess beyond that because we don't know. We honestly don't think A-Raj is going to play beyond. We don't know that.
We don't know.
What are you seeing this year for the Jets?
Again, I think this automatically makes them minimum playoff contenders. The thing is the AFC East just got so much more interesting because you have the Dolphins, who are already like a solid football team. Hopefully Tua can stay healthy just so it's entertaining, right? So you have that. The Dolphins are a very solid football team. You have the Bills, who are always the front runners. And then there's the Patriots, who their defense is good, but who knows what they're doing. But now you have the Jets. And I think that last year, the Jets were a quarterback away. Now, AVT did get hurt, so their offensive line does need some work. Do not be surprised if they go O-line with that 15th overall pick. But Breece Hall, if he comes back healthy, he was a monster last year. That defense was amazing last year. Yeah, they have a strong run game. They have Garrett Wilson. They have Alan Lazard, who's at least has that rapport with Rodgers. I think it would be, even though the AFC is very competitive, I'd be shocked if they don't make the playoffs. I do. I think that this is a big enough thing because Rodgers played with a broken thumb. I think he's going to perform better. I think that having that run game and a guy who's actually going to be committed to running the football, and also, you have familiarity with Lazard, and you also have a really talented receiver in Garrett Wilson. Yeah, no, I think they can make the playoffs. I would be shocked if they didn't.
Okay. And it's just how far they will how deep they will get in the playoff. That's going to depend upon the matchups and everything.
Correct.
But let's get into what we wanted to do here. We've got you, Mag.
Talking about CM Punk at Raw, right?
Yeah, no, that we had David pop in and actually mention that he was briefly spoke to The Miz and Trips, was asked to leave. It's a publicity stunt. The show's in Illinois. Phil will never be in WWE again.
Yeah, I don't think he is going to be. And plus, there's always the talks of him coming back to AEW too. And they're going to
he's confirmed to come back to AEW June 17th.
When's the Wembley pay-per-view?
It's in August. It's about 2 months.
So oh my god, they'll be like Bucks. They'll do the Elite versus Punk. Yeah, they'll sell out that.
CMFTR.
No, because while Kenny Twinkle Toes Omega has said he would be willing to do business, the Bucks have said we're not, because apparently during that whole altercation last fall, Phil, either whichever one of those balding bastard bitches, Punk beat the shit out of one of them. And they're not getting anywhere near CM. Kenny said he will do business. Jericho said he will do business, but the Bucks are pussing out and saying we're not getting in the ring with Punk.
Money can change things, but we'll see.
I do agree. I do agree with that statement. Money rules the world.
I think when it comes
for Omega, I personally see a bigger match than CM Punk. Him versus Punk would be a big match, but I see Kenny versus either Ospreay or Vikingo at the Wembley show.
And also, let's not forget, as we mentioned on the show Saturday night, we still have not gotten the rubber match between Punk and MJF, and we still have never gotten MJF and Jericho, which Jericho's gonna be playing politics and trying to position himself as Jericho attempts to position himself.
We also haven't gotten Danielson and Punk in AEW.
No, for the Wembley show, I need it to be Danielson versus Sabre. I need that match at Wembley.
Well, and as our friend David informed us on Saturday when we were doing our alternate show, they have 55,000 pre-sales out, which Wembley for a wrestling event, as we saw in 1992, will hold roughly 65,000. They get Punk in a main event, they're going to sell that bitch out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tom, before we jump into more NFL stuff, your thoughts if Bill Goldberg shows up to AEW?
I'll laugh my ass off and I probably
no.
I have ordered every AEW pay-per-view since Punk has come back, and I've not regretted a single purchase. There's been some that haven't been as good, but
I've ordered everyone Punk has been a part of. Put it that way.
So they always deliver, right? The pay-per-views have been good. If they legit get Goldberg and promote him in any way, shape, or form where he is anywhere near any match, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna order it.
Oh, come on, you don't think you'll pay for Wardlow versus Goldberg?
No, you know what? Put that match on first and make it a 3 minutes match, and then do what they did with Lesnar and almost just here, just beat the crap out of each other for 5 seconds, and then we could just move on with our lives.
Well, as much as I want to move on to the NFL draft, I have to get your thoughts because you're a big wrestling fan. Seth Rollins versus Omos seems like a punishment for Seth.
It's so stupid. It's like a WWE, my universe, hey, let's throw these two together.
Seth is arguably the greatest worker in professional wrestling right now. Arguably.
Yeah.
And I have often said Seth Rollins can get a great match out of anyone.
We're about to see that put to test.
But I never thought they would put him with Omos. And I'm like, I may be proven wrong here. I don't think even as great as Seth is, he can get a match out of Omos.
You know what's really funny too, and this is just, I think, it just speaks to like one of the downsides of WWE is like Omos is starting to get over online because like he has like the Homo sapiens, which is
he's
Yeah.
getting over.
he has like a personality. You just never see it on TV. Like it's just
Not stupendous, pal.
yeah, it's just you don't see it. So I don't know. I mean, like it was like with Lesnar, right? Lesnar always had Heyman, and like that was a really good move because Heyman is one of the greatest talkers in the history of the sport, right?
Absolutely.
But like
Heyman is one of
Lesnar
my heroes.
has gotten much better on the
Oh,
mic, and
yeah.
like he has gotten personality and things like that. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Heyman, I would
don't care.
arguably say is the greatest male, like the greatest male manager is Bobby Heenan, the greatest female is Sherry Martel. I would argue Heyman is arguably the second greatest male manager in the history of.
Yeah, there's definitely top 5, and like you start arguing about like top 3. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, you got him. Like, take Bobby Heenan out. You got him. You got Cornette. You got Jimmy Hart. You got Gary Hart.
Fuji.
Oh gosh, you got the Grand Wizard. You got Freddie Blassie. You got But I think Heyman has got to be at least second or third best. Him and Cornette. However you want to word that. God, I never expected us. I know you love wrestling, Gross. That's why I love having you on because we can actually segue into wrestling.
It's fine.
Because we're all huge wrestling fans. We've been going to the Rumble for years. Like
That's
we're
awesome.
all
We cursed Kofi Kingston. I don't know if you know this. But we are the reason.
We've been in
Kofi
the Rumble the
Kingston
last
failed
2 years. And both years, Kofi
He messed
fucked
it
up
up.
his Rumble exit,
Yep.
and we got Bengals and Chiefs AFC Championship game.
Yeah, we have 2 curses going.
It's funny. I've never been to a Rumble. I had tickets to the 08 Rumble and got like the worst stomach flu of my life and just couldn't stop throwing up. And that's when Cena came back. Like he came back and like that was the shocking thing. Like my dad went with like my brother, and I just
that was MSG.
Yep.
Oh shit! You missed.
Damn.
Yep, that sucks.
Damn,
I was like,
bro.
I was
Are you
at
gonna be
24
head
though. I
to-
went to Mania 23 and 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
You going to Mania this year, Tom?
It's in Philly, so if I'm still in New York, which who the hell knows? If I'm still in New York, then maybe I would totally go. I mean, I'm curious to see what they'll do. I'm curious if are they really going to Right, real quick. Then we'll actually get into football. I am curious. So like Cody didn't go over at Mania. Thoughts? You may have talked about
I
it.
said I do not understand this booking decision. I won a tournament last year as amateur booker of the year.
Okay.
On our previous network we worked for.
Like that.
Booking is my thing.
Okay.
I do not understand why Cody did not go over. But I will say if they are setting this up for him to have to win the Rumble 2 years in a row and then throw Roman after 1,300 days and whatever, then I get it. Otherwise, I don't know what the fuck they were doing because they had a perfect setup. Unless they are going to do something even better.
You know what?
Because let's not forget, Dusty and Flair, Starrcade 1984 and 1985. Flair went over in 84, even though Dusty looked like he was going to be the guy to do it.
Sure.
It took until 85 because remember, Joe Frazier stopped the match in 84 because of the cut over Dusty's eye against Flair, the guy who had been the champion for a year. 85 Starrcade, Dusty goes over. So I'm thinking it may be something similar to that. Triple H is a student of the game.
Sure.
I love you, Trips, but we'll see. So that's kind of my thinking. They're doing a Starrcade 84-85 angle.
You know what's really interesting is like the build up. Like Cody run the Rumble, which was
not to interrupt you, Grossi, but we are actually working on a possible new wrestling trivia show for RAWBall.
Nice.
You're a wrestling fan. Would you be interested in coming on for one of our trivia shows? We're going to be starting somewhere in the early summer. We're still getting the details together, but it's going to be.
Just set me up. Yeah, just let me know. We'll try to make it work. I will probably be terrible at it, but yeah, we can rock and roll.
All right, go ahead.
When Cody like everyone knew Cody was winning the Rumble, right? Like as soon as like you knew he was announced, you're like, yeah, he's gonna win.
Oh, I cried my eyes out when he won.
Okay, this might be a hot take. I don't even think it's that hot of a take. The Sammy storyline was so effing good, and that had all of my attention. That was long-term booking, because I know that now there's kind of some revisionist history and being like, wow, like the bloodline, like this whole story has been amazing for so long, which is just not true. Like it has gone through its like slow, like nothing's really going on. But with Sammy, it has gotten better. Like, good God, Finn Balor, like the demon, freaking the turnbuckle breaking. Like it went through some ugly points. Okay, it went through some ugly points, but Sammy, like setting this up, the Rumble like arc was amazing, so good. Like you knew that he probably wasn't gonna win in Montreal, but like that moment was really, really good. The end of the match was really sloppy, in my opinion, because it just was like every other Roman Reigns match. Because the WWE seems to like want to have its cake and eat it too, because I think they have done a truly remarkable, amazing job of building Roman to be like the final boss. His theme song is perfect. His entrance is so effing long, but it's so like you watch.
It's so good live. It's so good live.
It's like what they did. I know he's a different name now, but like that's what they did with like Walter for NXT, and I loved it because like he is a monster. And I listen, if they wound up like Gunther taking it off of him, I would not complain, regardless.
Oh,
we won't either.
Like that's my dude. Anyway,
from Gunther.
So he does all this. They set everything up. I don't like the ending. And even going into Mania, I'm thinking Cody's gonna win. And I'm like okay about it. I'm like, all right, like because again, I was just so invested in the Sammy storyline. Night one happens, they take the belt, like the tag belts. I'm like, yup, makes sense, kind of going through. And then I still wasn't sold on it until you had the interference by the Usos and Sammy and KO came out and stopped them. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm good. Because like you brought both of them together. It makes sense story-wise. Let's rock and roll. And then he still lost because of
thanks to Solo coming back.
And I was like,
overbooked to the fucking hilt.
So now here's the problem, right? And this is the issue. Roman is still built up as this big boss. And what I mean by cake and eat it too is because almost all of his matches are ending with interference. It makes him, it takes
weak.
some of, it does. It takes it away from it. And now like we all know right now, right? You and I, we all know that belt ain't coming off of Roman until WrestleMania because they have built him to maybe SummerSlam, and that's a big maybe.
Maybe.
It's a big maybe. And because they've worked themselves into a corner, not a shoot, they've worked themselves into a corner because he has become such a spectacle, and it's WrestleMania 40. It's a big number that like their only place he could possibly lose it is that Money in the Bank. Who cares? They're not going after Roman, right?
No.
Because there's no way. Or they'll have him destroy it like Damian Sandow was destroyed by Cena, right? Like they'll work something with it. The point that I'm trying to make is that you kind of lose some of your investment in it because I'm like, okay, well, that main story is not going to matter until a year from now. And that's a little like this Backlash thing. Like it's not a great card. Like it's kind of just like whatever, but it's kind of biding your time until the next Mania, and that I'm not a fan of because they put both belts on them. They've had one, like if they split it up and we're like, hey, you know what, night one, he's going to face Cody or like Sam, you know what I mean? Like they could have done other things and taken one belt off of them. I'd have been perfect that because then at least you can compete for something else. And I'm very happy with the Intercontinental and US title kind of being elevated, especially on this year's show, even though the US match was really bad. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes a little bit away from the product because it's like, you know, where this is eventually going to go. And then it's just a little disappointing that we're going to wait so long for a payoff. But listen, they could do a really, really good job. I just don't know. Like you want to put Cody through the ringer. He's going to take the Cena path. What was that? 2012 where like, you know, fought Lesnar at Extreme Rules and like go through all this stuff and then maybe win it. But it's tough to get that kind of storyline to be as perfect as it was in terms of like Sammy, KO, the Usos, Bloodline, Roman, Cody, etc. That was my end of rant. It was a little underwhelming after all of it.
Well,
that match
my friend Nicholas Edwards at the Wrestling Legion, because he and I are both complete and total wrestling nerds, and this is 2-3 weeks after Mania, and I still cannot wrap my brain around this. And I told him all I can say is either they are planning something phenomenal for Cody at WrestleMania next year, or it goes back to my basic philosophy when it comes to professional wrestling: never trust a Rhodes' career in the hands of a McMahon. And at this point, Paul Levesque, based upon the McMahon whom he is inserting himself to, and the McMahon whom he is the son-in-law to, and the McMahon who has just sold the company for $9 billion to a venture, I'm almost falling back on 1990, 1991 Dusty Rhodes. Like, this is just goddamn polka dots all over again.
The only reason why I think it's, and again, this year is going to be very telling. Cody was literally selling house shows. Like, it was him.
Yes.
It was literally
Absolutely
him. Like, he legitimately became a star. And I think, like, it's just tough because now they have to keep that momentum until next year, which is tough. Like, that's a difficult thing for anybody to do, to have a storyline. Think of any TV show, right? It's like, oh, I fell short again. It basically feels like you're starting over and nothing has changed except you have new tag champions.
Yeah, the ending of that Cody Roman match definitely did feel like someone just, pissed on top of your head while you're sitting in the rain.
Yeah, that's a puppy.
Yeah,
all right, we can get into football now. I'm sorry, I totally derailed the show about
Oh,
wrestling.
no, you're
all good.
Grossi, you can derail a RAWBall show anytime you want with
it's
pro
in the
wrestling.
title. I couldn't give it up.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, this is the most off the rails show since, I don't know.
We were going somewhere with that.
I may not know much.
But
all right, let's get into it. We got the Panthers in the pole position for the first round of the NFL draft. Grossi, you are here as our expert. What are the Panthers going to do after this crazy offseason of trading and maneuvering and God only knows what?
This honestly is probably the easiest one. It's Bryce Young. Like, this one, I'm 99.9% sure on. And a few weeks ago, I would have probably said, like, maybe even a month ago, leaning towards CJ Stroud, especially, you have members of the coaching staff being like, oh, when you get to Charlotte, we'll do this. But I think it's just Bryce Young canceling all his other visits. I think he is the dead set number one pick. Stroud, dude, I mean, like, I was reading today, and, like, again, you take all of this with the finest grain of salt possible, but it just seems like he might not go at 2 unless it is one of the biggest smoke screens that I can remember. But, like, I'm kind of on board now, and I explained this on GPS this morning with the Texans not picking a quarterback with the number 2 pick. But yeah, no, I think this one's definitely Bryce Young.
All right, so second overall pick. And we've been seeing the Twitter memes, as Urinating Tree put it, the middle school motivation poster.
It is so terribly bad.
The Texans, I mean, what the fuck is going on with the Houston Texans, Ross? I mean, this team cannot get out of its own way to save its own life. If they were tied to a railroad track and by the handcuffs and were handed bolt cutters, they would attempt to cut off something other than the handcuffs themselves.
They cut off their other hand. That's not handcuffed.
Well,
damn it, I thought that would work. And you know what's frustrating too is, like, I like some of the moves that they are making. I like the D'Amico Ryans hire. I think that was a good hire.
I like it too.
I like that. Pierce, good running back. Stingley, good corner. Like, they have some pieces that they're starting to get built. They have Laramie Tunsil. Like, they have their franchise left tackle. It's just, you have to worry about the ownership because they finally got rid of Mr. Preacher Man. Like, they did. But at the same time, it's like,
the only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man.
I don't know. Like, it seems like they really wanted Bryce Young, and then Lovie Smith was like, no, which is hysterical. And so now, like, they legit, hey, buddy. Oh, Ron, we were just talking about wrestling. Ron's a big wrestling fan. Ron, shout out to Ron, by the way. Ron, in the episode where Okada came into AEW for like the first time, it was like the hype up Forbidden Door. Ron is in the front row holding a Packcast sign.
No
So
shit.
shout out to Ron. He was in the front row right there in front of the hardcast. So, yeah, that's really exciting. But yeah, I just don't know what the hell the Texans do here, because here's my argument. You get a franchise QB. Let's just say you get CJ Stroud. Let's even just say like he's good, right? It seems to not really believe in him a ton, but let's just say he's good. In my opinion, though they have some solid pieces and they are in a garbage division, the Texans can't really do much to the point where they are going to be playoff contenders. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. And even if they get a wild card, it's in the AFC, which is already 10 times more difficult right now than the NFC. So do you pick a quarterback who you kind of don't believe in, or do you go after the best defensive player like Will Anderson in the draft? You draft him, you get the number 1 edge rusher, you go get a top wide receiver at 12. And so by the time, and then maybe you make like a Trey Lance trade with a second rounder or something like that, or you probably get him for like a third, and see what works. And then if you suck, you at least get a quarterback next year in a much better QB class. But then
I think we're getting Grossi rated.
You are. I put it out on Twitter. So.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in.
The thing is, like, now you could then put in a franchise QB you believe in next year, and there's just better pieces around them. You're still in the garbage division, and then you could potentially make a run, in my opinion.
I totally agree with that. The Texans, again, they're the Texans. You know they're going to screw this up.
I saw some word that Will Levis might be moved up to number 2.
That's what I was thinking, that Will Levis was going to be going to the Texans if they were going for a quarterback early on.
If the Texans draft Will Levis and he is not great, I'm sorry, I'm just never going to respect them again. Like, I can't. I asked this to Brandon this morning. I said, please explain to me what has changed from the combine where Will Levis was like, maybe he'd be top 10, maybe. And that was a big maybe, to now. Because all I've seen is mayo and coffee, eating bananas with the peels on, and throwing a football from his knees that's hitting a crossbar. That is all I've seen.
How the Raiders like to look at their draft picks.
But you expect it from the Raiders because they're garbage at drafting first round.
Yes, we are.
So like you expect it. Like it's like, oh man, we have a first round pick. You're better off trading it every single year for a Devontae Adams because you know you're gonna mess it up. Now it's a different regime, but it's still Josh McDaniels. So yeah. I mean, no, they'll do fine this year.
No, we won't.
I don't have a draft pick until the 3rd round, Tom. So
yeah, maybe you go in the 2nd. Maybe.
I don't know what we're doing with our quarterback.
We'll get to you, homeboy. So 3rd pick, Arizona Cardinals, which I've been hearing through the grapevine the last 24 hours. They're looking at possibly trading. I haven't heard anything past that they're just looking at trading it to move down and get draft capital.
Best case scenario. Best case scenario. No, I mean, I like that because there's 2 teams and they're at 2 and 3 that really should trade down. And it's the Cardinals and it's the Texans, because the Cardinals are in a weird ass place too.
Yes.
Because they're going to be, I think they're probably going to be the worst team in the league because Kyler Murray's not there for a good stretch of the season. They're going to lose DeAndre Hopkins. They've already lost a bunch of players. Like Budda Baker wants to leave. They don't have J.J. Watt anymore. The offensive line is rough. The defensive line is non-existent. They could go get a Will Anderson, and the team is going to be a little bit better.
Well, didn't you say on a show this weekend, you mentioned the Packers going after Budda?
I said I don't think if Rodgers was on the team, then I could see it. If Rodgers on the team, I see them going after DeAndre
Obviously,
Hopkins.
Today changed everything.
Yeah. Which we knew it was going to happen, right? But like, yes, that changed because this year is the Bears of last year. And what I mean by that is hopefully not the worst team in the league. But what I mean by that is you need to figure out if Jordan Love is your guy. Surround him with enough talent that you can accurately like assess his development and go yay or nay. Because if he is, great. Then you continue to build talent around him. They're going to pick up his 5th-year option. They're obviously going to do that. If he's not, well, now you have draft capital next year to move on from him. And it's basically the same thing for the Cardinals because the Cardinals, they have a new regime. And Kyler Murray, who I know they just gave a boatload of money to, I don't know if they're really sold on him. And if he comes back and he sucks, and you're sitting there at number 1, and Caleb Williams is right there, you're going to tell me the Cardinals, who did this already with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, they won't turn around. And I know Josh Rosen was on his rookie deal. They're not going to turn around and go, yeah, we're going to go get Caleb Williams.
So, final answer, Regis Philbin on the Cardinals. Do they trade out or do they draft someone?
It depends on what the Texans do, to be completely honest with you. Because
okay, well, I'm recording this, so I'm just going to put it right in
what
here.
What are you saying the Texans are doing?
On Texans.
If Texans take Stroud, then I think that the Cardinals, if they can't find it, how about this? If the Cardinals can't find a trade partner, they get Will Anderson.
All right, number 4, Indianapolis Colts.
Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, any quarterback that's available at that point.
Any quarterback.
Yeah, it is a quarterback. I would imagine Anthony Richardson would be fun. I don't know if he's going to be starting right away. I like Richardson, even though I hate them, in Seattle more because then he could learn behind Geno. If Richardson goes to Indianapolis, he's going to be thrown right into the fire.
Agreed. They are, and as much I do have to say, as much as I wish I could sympathize with the Colts, they have just shoved their own fist into their own sphincter from Andrew Luck on, that whatever misfortunes may come about to them,
That's why they're going to trade the 4th overall pick to get Lamar.
Shut your mouth.
Your time is coming, Devin. 5th round pick, the Seattle Seahawks from the Denver Broncos.
Yay!
This again, they could go after a defensive stud, like they can go after like a Tyree Williams, like they can get a really good edge rusher. But if Anthony Richardson is there, I think that's too much. They apparently love him. I think that's too much to pass up. Get him, have him sit behind Geno and have him learn, because Geno's a 3-year deal, which one that you can get out of. Rock and roll. And set up your QB for the future. Because I like Geno Smith. Don't get me wrong. I have a hard time saying he's your franchise guy.
No, he's a placeholder, just like Jimmy G is for my Raiders. He's a placeholder.
Exactly.
All right. Pick number 6, the Lions from the Rams. I do not know what the fuck they're going to do here, because the Lions are the Lions. They have made tremendous progress.
Yep.
But Jesus, Hebrew Christ. This team, because they've got 2 first-round picks this year.
Yep.
This could be a sink or swim draft for the Lions. Like, they made a lot of progress, but if they screw this up, holy hell, that team is screwed.
I think they have to go either a wide receiver or a corner here.
There's 2 things I see them doing. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver at 5. I think it's too rich for them, because while they could get like a JSN, or there's like one of 3 receivers.
What you said that the Green Bay should look at JSN. I was watching your show last night.
Yeah, it's we'll see. Oh my god!
Research.
It would honestly just be really funny, just for Rodgers. Like, he leaves and we draft a 1st-round wide receiver. It's like Russell Wilson. They finally drafted offensive line after he got traded. But hi, Sean. I think they're doing one of 2 things. There's the risky move and there's the non-risky move. Non-risky is corner. Exactly what Matt said. It's corner. You can go get a Christian Gonzalez. You can go get a Devin Witherspoon. That makes a lot of sense. You need secondary help badly, because they traded, my good God, Okuda, who didn't work out. They already swung deep. They did get some secondary help. But
by the way, I'm recording this so that whenever we do our coverage on draft night on Thursday, I can point back to Tom Grossi and say, well, this is what Grossi said was going to happen.
So it's either Brock has fallen on hard times.
Which one, Osweiler or Lesnar?
I'm drunk by a foot, my guy.
So anyway, corner. If they want to be risky, because it could either pay off or blow up in their face, they get Jalen Carter. It could blow up in their face, or it could look genius. Hutch and Carter on the same line would be like that defense, and they have a weak secondary. That defense would make that secondary look better because they're going to be able to get after the quarterback. So it's up to them, safe or non-safe. But I can't imagine it's going to be anything different between either a corner or they go get Jalen Carter.
All right, Tom. It's been a phenomenal time getting to become a colleague of yours in the last month. We appreciate so much you joining us for the charity fundraiser a month ago. The fact that you're joining us tonight for this is, phenomenal. I'm singing your praises, but now you get to just stick your foot up my ass as a Raider fan.
You know who it is, though.
Number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders. Please give me some hope that my team is going to learn how to goddamn draft.
Now, okay, what they should do, the non-sexy pick, you have to go offensive line. I think you got
yes.
The non-sexy pick, you go get like a Broderick Jones, you go get an offensive lineman. Like that's the non-sexy pick. That's the smart pick. You could trade down and probably still do that if like the Bears want to trade up again or something like that. You could do that. Right? It's just my mod squad right now. We're rocking. So
hey, bring them on.
There's that. So you could get an offensive lineman. You also kind of need to address defense. You could go with an edge rusher here, like, to pair him with Crosby. Like there's a couple things you can do. You could go corner if you really want to. I just Levis makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. I don't think, like, again, there's a possibility they don't. Maybe the Raiders surprise us all by not screwing the pooch, but we're
going to screw the pooch. It's just a matter of how are we doing, like full insertion or just the tip?
Well, here's the problem too. I mean, you don't have the old regime, but so like you won't pick a 3rd round talent in the first, but you might just pick Will Levis. Like that's the other side of it. That is the other side.
Can you guys draft Divine Diablo again?
Divine Diablo, baby, one of the greatest draft names ever.
I hope, and I said this on our show on Saturday, I just hope that the Raiders in this draft appropriately address our needs apart from quarterback, because this is a quarterback shallow draft, but there are pieces to be had to put the offensive line together, to build a secondary, to build a linebacker. There are pieces there.
What do you think of this, Cap?
This draft is perfect for 3 things. So if you're not you're in the top 10. So like after the top 10, the talent it does drop off a bit. Like this is why it's a good like second round, because this draft class is deep with 3 positions. It's edge. Like edge is really good. Like there's some athletic monsters in here.
Yes,
you can get some great in the first and some great value day 2. Corner, safety is garbage. Brian Branch is like
as you mix it with Brian Birch, who we'll get into in a moment.
Garbage. So yeah, corner and tight end. Those are the 3 positions that if you have a need at any of those, which by the way, the Raiders also have need at tight end. I just don't think. I mean,
we have needed everything, Grossi.
Denver.
You know what? I
wonder.
If you want to like replace Darren Waller, a Dalton Kincaid. It's risky because you're drafting a tight end in the first round, but like that, don't be too surprised if they decide to say, you know what, we need receivers. Let's go Dalton Kincaid. Brian Branch is not athletic. That's the problem. What I mean by that is his RAS score is low. So like the Packers are probably not going to pick him, but whoever winds up drafting Brian Branch has potential that they are going to get not only the best safety in the draft class, which is not saying much, but it is the best safety in the draft class. And like he's really good on run defense. Like he's good.
Branch is good on run defense. I will give him. I've watched some tape. He knows how to get to the
tackles.
run.
Like he legit tackles, which you don't often see. Like a lot of these other guys, like either they're gonna have to transition from like nickel corner to go over, but like they're not gonna really stop it. The Discord has now invaded. There you go.
Discord saying hello to the pupper.
It's a pupper show. You just gotta know where the money's at, and the money's always with the pupper.
Maggie getting her love in.
Oh yeah. Oh, apparently the Miz and CM Punk spoke and cleared the air.
All right, so I've got basically for the Raiders. I'm looking at what you said. OL, tight end, D. Pretty much, we can fuck this up any way we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. Now the Atlanta Falcons, who I have joked with our friend Devin down in the lower right-hand corner could be a prospective suitor among other teams for the services of his favorite player in the NFL, Lamar.
Oh yes,
What the
my
fuck
favorite.
are the Falcons doing here?
Nothing with us, I hope.
I mean,
Fuck off.
I think here's what I would do.
All right.
If I'm the Falcons, this might not be popular.
I agree, boo.
But if I'm the Falcons, I go and get either the first or second. I either go get Witherspoon or I go get Gonzalez. The reason being, because you already have AJ Terrell, you basically shore up your secondary for the next few years. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And then you could focus on other things. Now, again, they could go a litany of different ways. They could go O-line. They could go defense, right? But I think if they are able to just be like, you know what? We don't have to address secondary. Great. So, now we're rocking and rolling. I don't think they're getting
Well, the
Lamar.
Falcons address anything, though.
Yeah.
They're literally just trade out.
Yeah. So they could. I think a corner makes a lot of sense for me. I could also see them go edge. There was talking about and again, I disagree with this. There was talk about them going Bijan. I was like, why? I'm like, you have Algier, who was good last year. just keep rocking with it. And I know Bijan is supposed to be this legendary talent, but let's be very honest, we don't care about running backs in this league. The NFL just doesn't care about them. Right now, you have Ezekiel Elliott still sitting at a free agent, right? You still have Leonard Fournette sitting at a free agent. Dalvin Cook might find himself being a free agent. Derrick Henry, he's on potentially the trading block, even though the GM said that he hasn't been getting calls. He's announced that today. So
hockey.
Again, they need to address defense. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are drafting Bijan there. I'm that's dumb. That's just dumb.
All right. So for Falcons, I'm marking down cornerback and edge per Grossi.
I would say edge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, edge.
The Bears, their first round pick from the Panthers. What are the Bears doing? The Bears have, at this point, I think still, was it second or first most cap space?
Yeah, they're insane.
Okay, so what are the Bears doing here?
Do you want my really hot take, or do you want my here's what they could do in this?
I want both. I want the hot take, and I want the
here's what just makes sense. That's just decent. They again, if corners aren't taken there, they can go secondary. But they need O-line. Yeah, it's exactly as Sean said. They need O-line really, really bad just to make sure Justin Fields is not getting destroyed back there. A tackle makes the most amount of sense. 100%.
Okay, at 9, Grossi, who is the O-lineman? Let's just say, because I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing an O-lineman taken unless Raiders or maybe. Yeah, I'm not saying O-lineman unless the Raiders. So who is the O-lineman?
Gronk is not going to be it because Gronk is not going to be it because he's basically a guard, and they're not going to pick a top 10 guy and have him be a guard. You could go with Broderick Jones. That does make sense.
Okay.
So that's my O-line edge. It goes O-line and edge. I would say are probably the top 2.
This is exactly who I was about to say was Paris
Johnson Jr. Yep, that's a great pick. He's probably the number 1. Now, here is my hottest of hot takes.
All right. Hit us.
Bijan Robinson. Listen why. Do they have an O-line? No. But you have a young QB. You got rid of David Montgomery. They got Khalil Herbert still, and they got Foreman from the Panthers. They do. But Bijan Robinson means that you have a guy who could start immediately. You have a good running back. You have your Justin Fields. You have DJ Moore, number 1 wide receiver. I'm just saying you could cook a little bit in a very weak division. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do.
Look at a team to my immediate right who thought last year they could cook given what they had.
Patrick Starr told them, no, that's not what they wanted to cook. But yes.
And he's dropping out.
Bring up Patrick Starr.
A team that last year we thought was going to cook with what they had, but wound up making a grease fire in the frying pan.
Some people said, what if he sucks? But, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
they have depth, but they don't have a stud. Khalil Herbert is good, and Foreman is good. Bijan's supposed to be a stud. I don't think they will. O-line makes a lot more sense.
A Pizzle dropping some V triggers.
I could always do high knees during the games. You think that'll help me out,
See,
Tom?
I don't think they're trading down again because I don't think Bijan makes it past the Eagles.
Okay, very cool. Well, that's
Why would
actually our next pick that we have on the
Yeah.
board here. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles from the New Orleans Saints, picking at number 10. The Eagles have 2 first-round picks.
Yes, they do.
The fact that they just made the Super Bowl, and they have 2 first-round picks, I'm very what I would call a hinge point in the draft this year. We've got a team that made it to the Super Bowl this year that has 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
Do you see them taking advantage of both, trading away one, keeping the other? What are you seeing here at 10 with the Eagles?
Bijan makes sense because they lost Miles Sanders. They want to maintain that running game, which was one of the best, if not the best, in football. Right. So there's that. They put Bijan in. They are now that team. And I think just a lot of people are really high on him. So I think could be Bijan here. They could go O-line because they had one of the best ones in football last year. But you do look at Jason Kelce.
Age is
like
the
his
thing.
last contract. He is getting older. They could look at the interior a little bit too. You can never have too much depth. And as you already said, this is already a very rich team. They have the receivers. They have the QB. They could have the running back. And like defense, they got Jordan. Was it Jordan Davis last year? Who's like good run stopper. Got hurt, but like good run stopper. He's good. You could add some guys on the line, but. Yeah, I think maybe secondary because they lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Like maybe they're a Brian Branch like type of team. I don't know what their safety depth is looking like, but yeah.
Yeah, they do need to replace CJ out at corner.
Who is good. He wasn't amazing. He's good.
But they
like,
definitely need to fill that spot.
You get a Brian Branch, wouldn't be the worst.
All right, so we got running back, most likely for the Eagles, number 11, Tennessee Titans. I have no clue here because I've heard that they're putting Tannehill on the block. We know Derrick Henry. The tread is very minimal left on those tires. This team is Texans because it's like they need so much. You don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
I have a perfect pick for them.
All right, let's hear it. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Offensive line makes the most sense, but what are the two positions they need the most? O-line?
Are you going to say Bijan Robinson again?
Nope. O-line and receiver. How do you combine both of those? Michael Mayer, Notre Dame. He is a good blocker. He's a receiving tight end, and you just got both of them. You have a receiving weapon, and now you also have a blocker.
Okay.
Okay.
You go O-line again. O-line makes the most sense here, and I would not be surprised if they go O-line. But because Dalton Kincaid is good, he's the best pass-catching tight end here, but he's not the blocker. And Darnell Washington, who could potentially go at the end of the first, likely early second, is primarily a blocker. I'm just saying I think it solves both.
All right. So number 12, the Texans from the Browns.
I think I had them going wide receiver here.
I could totally see them grabbing a wide receiver, especially if they grab a quarterback at
because they don't even have Brandon Cooks anymore. Like Brandon Cooks is gone because he went to Dallas. So Brandon Cooks is gone. They could go get a Jordan Addison. They can go get a Quentin Johnston. Like they could do. I think they could go JSN if they really wanted to.
You are just all over some JSN.
That is someone I'm really excited to see in the NFL levels. Darnell Washington.
He is my draft crush. He screams Green Bay Packers so badly because Mercedes Lewis hasn't been re-signed. We love wide receivers. Like it makes all the sense in the world. All the sense in the world.
My first draft pick isn't until the 3rd round. If he's up there, I want him in Denver.
I would be absolutely shocked if Darnell. I think he could go at the end of the first.
I hope he goes at the end of the first because he deserves to go that high. Dude absolutely blew
is
my
6'7". He is the technique he has as a blocker is not even impressive. He's just enormous.
11 inches. Tip of his thumb to
insane,
the tip of his pinky.
It's insane.
So let's get to the main event, at least of the first round. Given the news we have today, it is number 13, the Packers, first round pick from the Jets. I know you spoke of Brian Branch. You spoke of ESN. You spoke of many guys. And granted, you've had essentially a couple of hours to think about this, but what are the Packers going to do at this point in the
If
first
they
round?
are, again, I know the whole fan base wants it. I don't think they go JSN. I could definitely be wrong. Maybe they do, but I want O-line. I want O-line or edge.
Because you're intelligent.
But I'm leaning towards O-line because
You want
Dave Bakhtiari,
protection.
who was very, very good last year, like when he played, he was very, very good. His cap hit is about to slap us in the face next year.
It is.
Like they're going to have to restructure. He is getting older. And I know that it's like a depth piece, but if you're able to get one of the top linemen in the draft, like I think that that's a really good pick. And I am so effing happy that they have 2 second-round picks because what I've been talking about since the start of the show, edge and tight end, go and get both of those in the second. You can get great value there, great players. You get an O-line, which there's not a ton of great ones. Like, again, there's a few, like you'll see them go in the first round, and then it starts to drop off a bit. There's some good guards later. Like, there's some decent depth there, but yeah.
So let's play devil's advocate.
Yep.
It's 3 nights from now. It's draft night.
Yep.
RAWBall Pod is doing their draft coverage. PatCast is doing their draft coverage. You got Clickbait doing whatever. You got everybody doing their thing. Packers are on the clock, and they take Birch at safety. How does Tom Grossi react?
Understanding, because it is, in my opinion, our biggest need.
It is a big ass drop off.
It's our biggest need. It's going to get tough. Like, you get Jartavius Martin later. Like, he's a good one, but like, that's one of the only ones I really like. People are talking about Jordan Battle, and I'm just like, I don't know if you guys have seen like him tackle. It's like, it's not good. Like, you just get a different skill set and it's not as good. Like, there is a significant drop off. So I think if
Birch and there's everyone else.
Branch, I just don't. The fact that they've actually moved up makes me think that they're definitely not going to get Branch now, in my humble opinion.
Okay. All right. So number 14, New England Patriots, Devin's favorite team. Sorry, Dev.
Oh my God. They need a wide receiver so bad.
Your first thing was wide receiver. Okay. Any other secondary thoughts there?
Quarterback. But I mean, they do. They're not going to grab one there.
I can totally see them drafting Joey Porter
they
Jr.
could decide. I mean, because their defense is the strength of that team. And Belichick really doesn't believe in Mac Jones or, my good God, I'm totally blanking on his name. What the hell is his name? The other, literally, he looks like Mac Jones. What the hell is his name? The other quarterback.
Bailey Zappi?
Thank you, Zappy. Yeah. If he doesn't believe in either of them, he might just continue to be like, you know what, we're going to load up the defense, so our defense will be really good this year, and our offense could do anything because it doesn't have Matt Patricia on it anymore. So, yeah, that's what I would say. In my humble, I think wide receivers a need, but they could just also turn around and just go defense. They could go edge. Edge makes a lot of sense here too. Like, because there's some really good raw prospects here. Like, they go get Miles Murphy out of Clemson. Ooh, like that would be fun.
That would have been.
I could definitely see edge. Miles Murphy in particular.
All right, number 15, the Jets from the Packers. Obviously, a bit of a shakeup. What do we do here?
They're another team that needs O-line because
Jets need offensive line.
They want to protect Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're probably going to go O-line because unless they make a big splash and Rodgers has a big say and they're like, hey, go get a Jordan Addison or something and then go get a receiver that early. I don't think they will, but yeah, I think O-line makes the most amount of sense here because their defense is pretty good.
So you're looking at wide receiver for the Jets.
I'd prefer. I mean, what makes more sense is O-line for me. Wide receiver would be secondary.
Okay, fair enough. I can see either one of those happening. The Dan Snyderless Commanders.
I loved your video that you put out with Wildflower reacting.
Yes. Thank you so much. That was goddamn awesome.
So here's the problem. You say O-line for the Commanders, you could talk about just about any position on that O-line. Like that's they really need O-line help. They need a quarterback. They're going with Howell and Brissett, and they'll be fine. But like They need O-line help. They need some defense help. Like, I mean, I don't even know where O-line's their biggest need, in my opinion. They could go. I mean, because they're wide receiver. They have like that triple threats. Curtis Samuel. Like the guy last year is like good. I mean, yeah, they could go edge if they really wanted to. It's not going to hurt them because like who knows what's going on with Chase Young too. Like that's a weird. Chase
Young's been an odd story the past.
Because he got hurt and like he's just been hurt for so long, and then he was like okay to play, and they didn't play him for a while. I mean, listen, to be completely honest with you, they need a lot of things, including new coaching staff. But you know, O-line again makes a lot of sense. They could go edge. Maybe receiver would be like down on the list, but yeah. I mean, again, they already got their new owner, so they're happy.
So getting to our mutual good friend, the Steelers, Utree, who I sent a link to jump in if he had the cojones to share his thoughts. Number 17, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know where to go here either. I mean, there are a lot of ways the Steelers could go.
You know what I'm going to say though? Like it's the same thing. They need O-line. Like but they do. Like they
Why
just
do so many teams.
But this is such an O-line-less draft. Like I don't see a lot of.
Which is why it's a problem. Like, but okay, so if they don't get O-line though, I see them addressing in secondary. I see them going secondary. Like they could go a good corner here. I think that would be a good pick for them. So
there he is.
He's streaming
with 5, watching the Rangers.
Oh, so that's what he's doing. All right. So,
but yeah, so O-line they need. I don't know if there's gonna be a guy that they're gonna want to go with, but I could see them definitely going secondary. They could go edge too, though, because they're a defensive team. Like they could find like a raw prospect and say like, hey,
well, they are a defensive team in practice and in theory, but on paper,
stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Birchwood.
Thank you for coming.
Let's just say that the Steelers haven't had a top end, legitimate shutdown defense in forever. Like they like to claim that they are such a great defensive team, but
I mean, listen, they're giving the ball a million times to Najee Harris, who can only run through this much space so many times. Like I watched too many Steelers games last year because he just like bounced off the O-line. It was like, oh, okay, I guess I can't run anymore. It's like 1 yard gain, 2 yard gain. It's just, yeah, it's
number
rough.
18, the Lions, their second pick in the first round.
I don't think they'll go tight end again, even though they do need to replace TJ Hawkinson because he's not there anymore. Like
they could go. They traded him still.
They can go to Dalton Kincaid there. They weren't going to pay him. That was the issue. And he just wasn't a good fit there. Like, and I love TJ Hawkinson coming out of the draft because he could block and he could catch. But yeah, they could go tight end here. Maybe this is where they go wide receiver because that's potential. Or yeah, they could go D-line because we talked about Jalen Carter before. Maybe they go Cansey. Cansey makes a lot of sense here too.
All right. So Lions, I'm just going to write down up in the air because we have no idea what they're going to do with that second round.
Yeah, Cansey, wide receiver, tight end. I'd say one of those three probably. Or again, if they didn't get a corner earlier.
Number 19, the Brady-less Bucks.
What do they need? God.
The Baker Buccaneers?
If Brian Branch, true story, if Brian Branch is not gone by this point, Brian Branch would be really, really good with Tampa. Brian Branch would be very, very good with Tampa. I don't know if there's a linebacker I go with because Devin White, who knows what the hell's going on with that? Like, I don't know if you do that.
I'm running quarterback, linebacker, question mark.
Yeah, but secondary, I think, is going to be one of their top needs. Like safety, they need to address. Corner, they could look at too. Yeah, I'm leaning. My gut's telling me secondary.
All right. So number 20.
Stay healthy, stay hydrated.
Take care, card. Number 20, the Seattle Seahawks, their second pick in the first round.
Yep.
Not from the Broncos. Sorry, Maddie.
Just their own.
Yeah, just their actual because of how they finished.
Yeah, if they didn't go for it, or like let's just say they got Anthony Richardson earlier, this is where they're going to go like edge. Like this is where they'll go and get a guy who can get after the QB.
Going edge for the Seahawks.
Tight end, they could, Sean. I don't know if they're going to spend it in the first round though. Unless like Michael Mayer is there. But maybe they do bring in a Kincaid because the primary two guys who are being mentioned to go for tight ends in the first round are Kincaid and Mayer. Darnell Washington maybe at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I've heard. You're spot on there. Number 21, the Chargers.
Wide receiver. That one's easy for me. Wide receiver could go secondary, but wide receiver makes sense because guys are getting Keenan Allen, getting older. Eckler, they're going to probably lose as a running back, but as a receiver, and good God, you know how much they check down. If he somehow is still there, JSN would be amazing on the Chargers. Oh my God, he'd cause so many problems.
So wide receiver, a la JSN. Any other alternates that you want to put down? Because we're going to see how accurate
Might be secondary.
Secondary, all right. Now getting to my poofed-haired little brother from St. Louis, Missouri, the Baltimore Ravens. Number one, is Lamar Jackson going to even accept this piffery offer? And with this pick at number 22, what is Baltimore going to do? Dev, I would offer you my box of Kleenex that I have here sitting on my desk, but you're in Denver and I'm in Arkansas, so I can't. But I will let Tom.
Carrier pigeon.
Shipping is going to be tough.
Fuck you. I will let Tom make you cry.
Okay. If they want to make Lamar happy, wide receiver. I don't know if they're going to be available at this point. So what do I think they're legitimately going to do? They're going to go get an edge guy. They're the Ravens. There's so much raw talent here. They develop guys really well who are just going to leave in 4 years or 5 years. So yeah, just go keep it simple. Go edge. Have a nice day. Just prosper. Make sure that defense is good.
Now let's just let's throw a wild card here because today we obviously got some pretty crazy news given and Lamar is on this, for lack of a better phrase, mercy fuck contract. Is there a chance that Baltimore trades Lamar to another team, trades out of the first round or trades up? What do you see happening? For some, in my mind's eye, I do not see Lamar Jackson in a Baltimore Ravens uniform starting in September of 2023.
See, I think the complete opposite. I think he's definitely staying. I think after they signed OBJ, I think he's staying. Because I think that was like a concession of hey, we're going to go get you a receiver. Because listen, their own GM, right? Was their GM or owner was crapping on their wide receivers, saying we don't have any good wide receivers. And that's when
those are GM.
Yeah. So that's when Bateman came out and was just we can't stay healthy. And then that started railing against the training, the strength and conditioning and all that great stuff. So I think Lamar stays and I think they just go edge normally. If for some reason Lamar doesn't stay, I gotta be honest, man. I don't even know who he goes to at this point after the draft, unless it's a team that just missed out on a QB. But the Falcons I don't think they want him, and I think the Colts are gonna get a QB. So I don't even know where he goes.
What if? Now, again, Dev, I don't want to make your hair any less poofy than it has in the last 30 seconds. Let's say, just for sake of argument, Baltimore makes the trade with Arizona, who is looking to trade out of the first round, and Baltimore moves up to number 3.
Interesting.
What? For sake of argument, let's just say Baltimore and their relationship with Lamar is
toast. Let's just say it's toast. Sure.
And they make that trade with Arizona, who is looking to get out of the first round for whatever reason. Baltimore moves up to 3. Does Baltimore draft a quarterback?
So
Marquise Brown would be so pissed.
That'd be such a bad move for them because it's not a normal contract. It's a franchise tag. So
it's a non-exclusive franchise. It's only valid until a certain point.
Correct. So, but the point that I'm making is that they then force their own hand and are basically gonna be all right, some team has to deal with this. I just don't. I think it's going to be too complicated for it to go that way. I mean, there's also, this is legitimate there, and it doesn't really get talked about. There's also the possibility Lamar just plays on the tag and then leaves. I mean, there is that.
Well, and it's also possible that he sits out because he does not have to play.
So here's the problem with sitting out, though, is because with the new contract, the collective bargaining agreement that all of them signed, you sit out, it destroys players. Like, and it might not count. Like that year, like I don't know about the franchise tag, but years they changed it recently where if you sit out, not only are you fined like an insane amount of money, so like you're gonna lose money, but I think it doesn't count towards your contract. So then you would wind up being in like the same place next year. So I think, again, the easy one is Edge, unless they do some crazy stuff.
So here comes what I feel. Go ahead, Dev. Go ahead, Dev.
I saw on ESPN that they were talking about Lamar possibly getting traded to the Texans for their first round pick.
That would be super. Oh my god, I'd love the chaos.
That
would be super interesting.
that very well happen.
Yeah.
But looking at this first round, here is the pick, and I've been analyzing over this for the last 2 weeks since we started prepping because we're doing a big show on Thursday night for the draft. You know, we're going to be covering the entire first round. I know you with the Pack Cast are going to be doing your thing. I've been looking at this for our preview with you. Here is the one pick of the draft where I am absolutely wondering what's going to happen. It is number 23. It is the Vikings.
Oh, the purple incarnation of Satan.
Do they go for the Tennessee quarterback? Because we know he's had the injury. Are the Vikings going to Viking? Or do they know something we don't, a la Cunningham, Culpepper?
All right, two things. One, apparently Triple H has an announcement, and it says that will rock the foundation of WWE tonight.
Oh,
on Raw.
great
Oh,
wording.
lovely.
Great wording.
They already announced the draft. Sorry, it just popped up on my feed. Like, that's just intriguing. Honestly, I think this is going to be a non-sexy pick. I think they're going to go defense. I think they're going either edge rusher or secondary because Zadarius Smith doesn't want to be on the team anymore. And their secondary is poo-poo garbage. So it's one or the other. I think they either go edge rusher or they're going to wind up going.
You do not see them picking Holderman, as what I've been seeing.
Hendon Hooker, you're talking about?
The Vikings picking Holderman.
You're talking about Hooker? Like Hendon Hooker?
Hooker, yeah, the Tennessee quarterback who has been injured, but I've been seeing like a lot of Viking rumbles about them taking him.
They could. Johnny Barks, shout out to Johnny Barks, about wide receiver because they don't have Adam Thielen anymore, but I don't know if there's one here that they're going to like enough, but I think they're definitely going to either go secondary or edge.
So let me write this down here.
I don't think they're going Hooker.
Hooker.
But I'm going to tell you, if Hooker goes to the Vikings, I am going to make so many jokes, and it is going to be brutal. It is going to be bad. So, yeah, I think Hooker's going later.
Hey, Lone, what's going on, man?
Joking.
But yeah, you could see like a Quentin Johnston go here. Like they could, if Jordan Addison's still around, like they definitely could. But, I mean, if they want to get real crazy, could go Zay Flowers. He's an undersized guy, but he's a good receiver. He doesn't fit the Packers bill, but Vikings might take a shot on him.
Okay. So number 24, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The team who last year I didn't think had a fucking prayer to lace their own shoes, let alone make the playoffs, let alone win a playoff game.
Crazy when you don't have Urban Meyer on your team anymore.
Well, yes, it's amazing what you can accomplish by addition by subtraction. But
I was so upset when they won that game too because I had money on the Chargers, and if they would have won, I would have won some good money.
You wanted them to go all the way too.
Shut up, Devin.
I would say they could go edge, but I think they need interior offensive line. A guard would make sense here. They're deep enough in the first round that they could go guard.
Okay.
Because they do need that help. Their offensive line is garbage.
Pick you got apart from OL guard.
Maybe they go edge. Maybe.
Edge, okay.
I don't know about that. That one I'm like less. I really think guard just makes a lot of sense in this spot.
Well, let's just piss off 5 points while we're at it. Number 25, the New York Giants.
They need a wide receiver.
5 points. I love your content. 5 points, but the New York Giants, the ultimate derp of drafting.
I mean, listen, their draft wasn't terrible last year, but they need people who can just catch. Like they do. They got Darren Waller, but he's also an aging tight end who's also injured all the time. So like that's a problem. They could go get a tight end here. Maybe if Kincaid is still hanging out at this point, they could get her a Michael Mayer, but they need a wide receiver. So whether they're going to get it here or they're going to get it like on day 2, they need somebody to catch the damn ball. So that's like their biggest need.
To go, so you're saying pass catcher, more or less. I'm writing down pass catcher.
Yeah. Now there's also Saquon Barkley who's not signing his franchise tag tender, so like that's a little bit of a problem issue too. So I don't think they'll go running back here, but wide receiver they need somebody. And then other than that, maybe their secondary because it got decimated last year by injury. So maybe they like just say, hey, maybe we should draft somebody here just in case. But
I'm sure you made a video on this and I didn't catch it. But Daniel Jones getting this contract, to me, just me sitting here as I am, that seems like complete fool's gold, horseshit bullshit. This guy got us to the playoffs. We're going to pay him, irregardless of how this guy, apart from 1 year, has proven to us that he cannot hold on to the goddamn ball, cannot do shit, cannot do a fucking thing to get this team over the hump.
I understand.
It seemed like the biggest mercy fuck contract in the history of NFL football.
I understand what you're saying. They are unfortunately in a position where they did it to themselves because they could have avoided this. And I'm not even like knocking them for this. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so they had to sign him because otherwise he was a free agent.
Granted.
2, Saquon really was the guy who got them to the playoffs because he had a resurgency because they actually got a little bit of an offensive line a little bit and he stayed healthy.
First time in 4 years, he's a running back.
Daniel Jones did one thing that he hasn't done he didn't turn the ball over. Like his touchdown numbers are garbage, but he didn't turn the ball over. So here's the problem. Okay, they know, like it's a 3-year deal. It's whatever. But they know that they really probably don't have their franchise QB unless he can repeat and get better under Dable, which is very possible. I'm like trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But the problem is they're sitting this deep in the draft. What are they going to do? They can't trade up and get a QB. They're not going to get a top guy. So I think what they're doing is they're saying, okay, yeah, we signed him to a 3-year deal. But if we suck next year, we're going to be so bad, they would 100% draft a quarterback next year. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right. So we've got
again, pass
catcher for New York Giants.
Maybe secondary.
We move to number 26, Scooter Magruder's Cowboys. Congrats on the engagement, Scooter. We hope we hope it is the happiest of lives. We love you, Scooter. We love to watch your content.
I'm just glad that at least somebody in that relationship can get a ring.
Oh, Grossi dropped it.
It's just yeah. So there was also Gibbs.
Yes, what the fuck did the Cowboys do minus getting Scooter a ring that he put on someone else's finger?
They need a running back. I mean, so like they have Tony Pollard, but like they don't have Zeke anymore. So Gibbs, because Bijan's probably gonna be gone at this point, or as Sean just said, like maybe they trade up. But yeah, so there's that. So it could go running back and Gibbs. Right. I mean, they got Stephon Gilmore, but I would feel more comfortable
getting the option on Lamb as well.
Yes. They do need another wide receiver. I don't think they're going to go one here, though. I don't. They could go O-line because their O-line did get worse. Like their O-line was not as good last year because Zeke was center. So like that didn't work out. But yeah,
just for pure speculation purposes here, because even though he's, and I hate the Dallas Cowboys, I despise them with every fiber of my being. Speculation here. What the fuck happens with Zeke? I mean, are we thinking Buffalo Bills here? Because I'm looking, they're coming up next. Did they trade out of the first round?
They already have 3 running backs, though. Like, that's the thing. Unless they were going to get, like, Bijan, like, and just be like, hey, no, you know what? Like, screw it, we're going to get this. But as I have said a cajillion times with the Buffalo Bills, it's not a running back problem. It's a mentality problem. Because what they really need,
Yes,
truly,
exactly. Yes,
O-line.
yes. It is a mentality problem.
It's a mentality
We
problem.
do not
because
use our quarterback as our goddamn running back. You pick a running back and feed him the goddamn ball.
Because they got it, James Cook, right? The thing, and they got Singletary, they got Hines from Indianapolis, and so they have running backs. They need O-line because O-line is what's actually going to help them there. Here's the two things. Here's two positions I see them going: O-line and edge, because Von Miller didn't play the majority of last year, and he's obviously older. They could get a really good edge prospect here to learn behind Von Miller, who has all the tools and is just not ready to start. Great. Have him learn behind Von. That's a home run. So edge makes a lot of sense. O-line makes a lot of sense. But yeah, until they commit, because you have here's the problem. You have the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They also could go wide receiver, but they have the Kansas City
Chiefs. We will piss Matty off.
No, it's not even pissing anybody off. The Chiefs are the same way. They don't commit to running the football because they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Because Andy Reid hates running backs, refuses to run the ball, and thinks that his quarterback is the god king alpha bitch of the world and will not run the ball.
Which he's right.
That is the problem with Andy Reid.
But
he will not run the ball.
Though.
If you gave him fucking Walter Payton in his prime, Andy Reid would give him 5 carries a game.
So here's the thing, though. They go in the 7th round and they get Isaiah Pacheco, who I saw in the preseason against the Packers, and I was like, holy crap, this kid is running like a monster. So they have Pacheco now. So every time they want to run 10 times a game, they can just hand it to Pacheco and they'll get the yardage that they need.
I can't stand Pacheco and McKinnon as a 1-2 punch.
The Bills don't have that because they're trying to be like, oh yeah, we could just run it 10 times. But no, they need balance in their damn offense. Josh Allen's very good. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's just not. You can have Stephon Diggs, you can have Gabe Davis, you can have all these people. But at the end of the day, you need balance. And they don't have balance in Buffalo. So it's not a running back problem. They need to freaking get O-line, actually commit to running the ball if they want to, and then they can start seeing some success. Because they did that, was it last year or the year prior, near the end of the season? I think it was the year prior. They started running with Singletary. I think it was against the Falcons was the game they started doing it. They actually started to committing, and Singletary was putting up good numbers. Like, he was solid. And then they were just like, yeah, no, we don't need this anymore.
I will say on
I've
that
been
point,
saying that
Foster,
for 3-4 years now. The problem with the Bills is that they think their quarterback is also their running back, and I'm not trying to
which he can run.
Throw shade upon. Excuse me. I'm not trying to throw shade upon Josh Allen. He is a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
but we're looking at the Elway syndrome, to quote Maddie here. The Elway syndrome is that you cannot count on one guy to be both your passing game and your running game.
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes.
Super Bowl, when he finally got a running back. The Buffalo Bills seem so just
they don't want to run the ball.
We can't have a running back. That's going to hurt Josh Allen. We got to. Yeah. No, you need a running back to take some pressure off Josh Allen. Get a running back and a decent offensive line, and then you'll beat the Chiefs. Because if you slow the clock down and you force the other teams to come at you rather than the other way, you'll be just fine. Josh Allen's awesome.
But they do not have the team to say, you know what, we're just going to put it all on Josh Allen, which he has done many times. But the problems are
Josh Allen since he got there.
When a defense hones in on Josh Allen, like the Bengals game, and they're getting after him consistently, and the passing game doesn't work in the snow in Buffalo, they don't have a running game to rely on, and that's when they get screwed. Because here's the God's honest truth. I've said this. I told this to Cole. I said, who's a diehard Chiefs fan, the Chiefs have the perfect trifecta right now. They don't even have a wide receiver one. They traded their best wide receiver away, and then they won the Super Bowl. But they have one of the best coaches, because Andy Reid is a phenomenal coach. He's a really good coach.
He is, as much as I hate that worthless cheeseburger eating shit.
You have Patrick Mahomes, and you have one of, if not the greatest tight end to ever play the game. Those three things, you can win as many games as you want, because if Patrick Mahomes gets in trouble, he can run the ball. He can throw the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster, but Travis Kelce somehow always is open, because if you decide to actually cover Travis Kelce, well, then you can hit the MVS, you can hit the Juju Smith-Schusters of the world, the Sky Moores, if you actually decide to give him the ball. They could do that. The Bills, it's Stephon Diggs, it's Gabe Davis when he can catch, and it's Josh Allen, and that's it. So that's all you got.
Johnny makes a phenomenal point, and I've been saying this for 7 years. Travis Kelce is not a tight end. He's a wide receiver who wraps himself in the cloak of being a tight end.
That's a big fucking wide receiver.
Yeah.
Well, look
That's
at
a big bitch.
Those are the plays wide receivers should be making, not tight ends.
Yes. Which again, it's perfect because it works for them. One, but two, like they have that guy that they can just dump it off to. They can, because he could catch it for 3 yards and he could take it for 10. He's over the middle for 15 yards because they scheme him open. And if you decide to cover him, then the other wide receivers get. That's why like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were such a problem, because Kelce was always there underneath or across the middle, and Tyreek Hill, he could just like take it for 3 yards and then take it to a touchdown.
Well, and let's also not forget Andy Reid's basic game plan going into any game. We're going to throw the ball 50 times. The running game means nothing. The defense means nothing. It just, I'm going to let my quarterback sling this thing across the field. If we win, great. If we lose, I'm going to go have a cheeseburger. So,
fuck you, Andy Reid. That like it works because Patrick Mahomes is
because he finally got a quarterback who could play that system.
Is that good, and I don't know. Like it's frustrating because the Chiefs are like, it doesn't matter who they draft, right? Because like they're a Super Bowl contending team right now. Like there's some teams right now they're like, oh man, like they need a couple more pieces and they're there. The Chiefs, it doesn't matter. That they're going to win the division. Sorry, because they're going to win the division. And like it doesn't matter. So they could do that, but to get back to the Bills, they don't have the team to be what the Chiefs are. So they have to coach the players that they have and either change their mentality when it comes to running the ball, or just keep trying the same thing that's not working.
The Bills could very well beat the Chiefs if they take the mindset of, we cannot, Josh Allen, as great as you are, you're not Patrick Mahomes. We cannot win this game by you throwing the ball. We beat this team by absolutely suffocating Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, running the ball, killing the clock, and making them have to sweat. Now, whether they adopt that philosophy is, that's left to another game, another year, another day. But we know what Andy Reid is going to do. Mahomes, you are God. Here is
Mahomes, Kelce, go to town.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Sorry, guys. I'm just uploading this video super duper quick. I apologize. I don't want to see
no worries.
Grossi, you are, I guess, do what you have. We've got 4 picks left. We are down to the Bungles.
Bungling no more. Kitty goes meow.
Everyone was saying after the AFC Championship, ref ball. Bullshit.
No.
What position we going with? We thinking?
Yeah, let's go with what position we're going with, because Cap's famous internet just cut out. Oh, is he back?
Oh, I'm back.
Hey,
okay. Everyone was saying, after the AFC Championship game,
ref ball,
it was ref ball. The Bengals fucked up royal. They did not protect Joe Burrow. They did not even attempt to try and stop Patrick Mahomes. Their pass rush was weak. The Chiefs absolutely dominated Burrow in Burrowhead. The Bengals, they still have a chance given how weak that goddamn division is. Jesus Christ, you almost want to vomit when you look at the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers. Jesus, Hebrew God. The Bengals easily.
Ravens are there.
We're here too, damn it.
Quarterback's going to be staying there. The Bengals, if I am the Bengals GM and I'm looking at this draft and you're picking as late as you are, I'm either trading out of the first round or I'm trading up, because the only way, if you get back to the AFC title game, the only way you're going to stop Patrick Mahomes is either a relentless, absolute, gut-wrenching pass rush, or you have a cornerback that is going to shut down both Kelsey and whoever his second option is.
The pick that makes the most amount of sense for me is if Mayer's available, yes, or it's Darnell Washington. Screw it. O-line is always a need for them, right? You get a good pass catcher in Darnell Washington. Tight end is definitely, because Hayden Hurst is not on the team anymore, right? He's gone.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst is gone, right? Uzama's been gone because he went to the Jets. Go get a tight end. Like, get a Darnell Washington. You have a blocking tight end. You help with O-line. You have a pass catcher. Can you imagine a 6'7" guy in the red zone for Joe Burrow?
With 11-inch hand span?
So, Captain, you're right.
What was the problem in that AFC title game that we saw back in January?
So here's the problem.
Was it that the Bengals could not score points, or was it that they could not stop Mahomes?
It's both, though, because they didn't take advantage of opportunities, one. But two, the issue that they're also going to run into is Mixon, who the hell knows what's going on with his legal troubles. But they don't have P. Ryan anymore because he went to the Broncos. But yeah, that's why I agree. Like, edge makes a lot of sense here too, because just get after the quarterback. But the problem is the Jaguars or the Bengals couldn't get after a one-legged Patrick Mahomes. So yes, I agree. Go get edge, or if there's not an edge there that you see at the end of the first round, then screw it. Then go get a tight end.
And I also think at this point with Mahomes, we are approaching Brady era, where it doesn't matter how great your edge rushers are. It doesn't matter how great your defensive line is.
To get it out or run. Yeah.
It does not matter how great your secondary is. They are going to call flags. They are going to throw horse shit, because you are preventing Patrick Mahomes from going to the Super Bowl and making the Ginger Hammer a lot of money. Mahomes has entered Brady territory.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it. The fact that the NFL is supporting a man who puts ketchup on his steaks. Mahomes, as talented as he is, should not be where he is, but he is entering Brady territory. You can't sack him. You can't hit him. You can't stop his receivers. You can't do a damn thing to him. You just have to hope that you have the ball with 30 seconds left and the ball on the 50 fucking yard line in the AFC Championship game to stop him. And it absolutely pisses me off. And I'm not speaking as a Raiders fan. I'm speaking as a football fan.
Oh, I'm speaking as a Broncos fan. I fucking hate him.
The problem is that Mahomes has entered Brady territory. And once you enter Brady territory, your team is going to be in the conference title game or the Super Bowl every fucking year, regardless of how well or how poorly you play in the playoffs, because the Ginger Hammer wants his game.
But it's also like this, and this was fascinating for me, not this past season, but the year prior. It really shows that our view of the regular season is really skewed, because, listen, compare it to any other sport, right? Football, every game is important because we don't have 100 games. We don't have 80 games. It's 17 games.
Baseball.
It's not baseball. It's 17 games, and every single one matters because sometimes you are a game away from the playoffs, right?
Exactly.
The LA Rams did not win a single game in November. Not a single game.
And they didn't even get eliminated until week 16.
They won this. No. I'm talking about not this past season, the one before. And
okay.
Yeah. They got into the playoffs. They were able to get a division rival at home for the NFC Championship, right? And they won the Super Bowl because they played against the Bengals, who are a good team, don't get me wrong, but they went from like one of the worst teams to all of a sudden in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So there's matchups matter so much, and why Brady was able to do it for so many years. They always won their division because they were in a garbage division. He always had a great defense, usually a top 10 defense every single time that he won the Super Bowl or went there. And he was guaranteed to have a first round bye every single time. And he played the worst team that was left in the conference. And that's what the Chiefs are going to become. Like the Chiefs playing the Jaguars, it was like, oh, a Cinderella story. Like it could be nice. You know, the Jaguars aren't winning. And it was one-legged.
Cinderella my ass.
So then it was like the Bengals had a shot, and I really thought the Bengals could have won, but they made mistakes and they couldn't get after Patrick Mahomes. So like that's why they lost. But my point is that there's already going to be an advantage before the season even starts because the division, if it doesn't get better, then Mahomes going to walk away with it, and they're likely going to get the number 1 seed.
No offense to my little brother Matty Laws in Denver. Denver ain't doing shit. No offense to my team, the Raiders. The Raiders ain't doing shit.
No.
The Chargers, even if they do play well, are going to get in their own goddamn way.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are going to win this division walking away. They're not even going to have to take a breath. They're going to win this division. They're going to get the first run seed. And as Grossi just pointed out, they're going to have the easiest path to the Super Bowl that you could ever possibly have, regardless of how well or how unwell they play, because the division they're in, the teams they have to play.
I will say the West played the East this year. So we play the Jets. We play the Bills.
Rodgers, Mahomes. Let's go. First time. It's the actual first time, because they either Rodgers has COVID, Patrick Mahomes is injured. They've never played against each other.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was about to say. So it's going to be very interesting this season.
We're supposed to see it a million times, but nope, somebody's always out.
AFC Championship game is going to be Chiefs Bills or Chiefs Bengals.
Easily.
Or
Maybe
if
the Jets.
by some
Maybe
crazy fluke, Goodell just says, you know what, screw it, it's going to be Rodgers versus Mahomes, and then Mahomes is just going to fucking
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. That'd be so much fun. That'd be so much fun.
If for some reason, let's just say Rodgers comes in, he pulls a Wizard of Oz, he takes this Jets team, he takes them to the AFC title game. It's Rodgers, Mahomes. It's going to be a goddamn blowout, and everybody knows it because, again, it's the ginger hammer. He is never going to allow Mahomes to not make the Super Bowl unless he is playing a team that legitimately on paper you cannot deny.
Before we continue, this is actually some breaking news out of WWE.
Is it a foundation announcement?
No, apparently GYV, the Grizzled Young Vets, got denied their release.
So I saw that.
Stuck with the company until October.
Damn, that blows.
All right.
Question
so we got
for
3 teams
me.
left. I know Grossi's running low on time. Saints number 29.
I
Does
was not
anybody
happy
really
with
care?
This one makes a lot of sense too. Edge, like go edge because they lost a lot of their defensive line. Go get edge. Be better.
Eagles number 30.
Again, if they didn't address it already, they're like, go get a guard, get an interior, or what makes more sense. I don't remember his name. I think he has like 3 names, but I think like the top center is like I think he's mocked around like the first. Get a center that could sit behind Kelsey. He could start as a guard in the meantime, but you need, because again, Jason Kelsey, there's going to be a time where you don't have him, and you want to keep that consistency with that O-line.
And lastly, but not leastly, the team we were just talking about, the Chiefs, 31.
I mocked them getting Zay Flowers because they tried with Sky Moore. They put him back to return punts. That did not work out at all. So then they really didn't target him a lot. I think if you get another one, because let's be very honest, everything that we just said is accurate.
All Mahomes wants are wideouts. That's all he and Reed care about.
Talked about wanting Zay
Flowers.
Flowers.
Fuck the defense. Fuck the run game. Just give Mahomes 6 wide.
Yeah, they could go get edge if they want to because they got Karlaftis last year, but they
don't care. Why should they rest their quarterback?
Yeah,
Mahomes is going to score in 3 plays.
Again, this team right now is a Super Bowl ready roster, so just go put them over the top even more and get a guy like Zay Flowers who can sit, and learn and have a nice day because they do need a wide receiver 1. So why not?
Well, that concludes the first round of the NFL draft preview on the RAWBall podcast. I have been writing this down. I'm saving all of the Grossi picks.
You let me know.
We're going to be Thursday night. We're going to be covering the draft as sure as I know you will be. I'll be saving this to see just how accurate you were. We went on about 15 minutes longer than I intended to keep because I know you're a busy man, and especially with the news that broke today, the Patcast has got to be absolutely eating at your nuts.
Bonkers day.
Been a bonkers day. But before we let you go, anything that you want to promote, talk about? It's been an absolute pleasure having you here to do this. We hope we can do this next year.
I appreciate you having me, guys.
Goddamn Grossi, anything else you want to throw out before we let you attend to business? Because I know you're a busy man and have a lot of irons in the fire.
Thursday, doing the draft stream before the draft actually happens. Yeah, no, it's a life-changing announcement that I've been working on for 2.5 months. So yeah, it's gonna be.
So you got something big coming up to?
Oh, I met with the NFL last week and YouTube today. Yeah.
Ooh.
I literally from scratch came up with an idea 2 months ago and have been working every single day on this idea, and it's really gotten legs now, and it is going to be the biggest piece of content I've ever produced.
Can I, in this moment, request, if at all possible, that the RAWBall podcast get the initial interview after this is done?
It just depends.
May we be the first ones to interview after this potential phenomenal thing is done?
I'm not saying no. I just don't know when that's going to be. Because the draft's
fair enough.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Shit happens as it happens, but the RAWBall podcast would be eternally grateful to have, once this groundbreaking thing is done, to have the first interview with Tom Grossi. If we could potentially set that up.
We'll try and make something happen.
All right, Tom. Hey, that's good enough for me and good enough for us right now. If we can make it happen, great. If not, but end of the day,
there's lots of info that will be coming out.
So much money for a phenomenal charity about a month ago. The fact that you joined us tonight to do this and spent the first half hour basically talking pro wrestling. I mean,
yeah,
just makes sense.
You're with a pro wrestling crowd. And at this point, let me refresh my Twitter and see where we are. We are at 6,615 views on our ad.
There we go.
Since we announced it this morning. Tom, I simply, and I speak on behalf of my colleagues, there's not enough thanks that we can bestow upon you for everything you have done for us, the amount of money you helped us raise for a phenomenal charity, joining us tonight for our NFL draft preview. We literally cannot thank you enough. And if there's any time, anything, any of us can do for you, all you have to do is DM us and ask.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
We've been dreaming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Since we started putting this whole idea of the RAWBall podcast together about 9 months ago, one of our first 2 or 3 thoughts was like, we've got to get Tom Grossi. And
you did it.
Somehow through slings and outrageous fortune, it's managed to happen. We cannot thank you enough, my friend. Thank you for joining us. It's a phenomenal and a singular pleasure getting to have you involved with us. And at any time we can be of a friend to you, we will be there. And we hope at some point, maybe, once the NFL season starts, we can, I don't know if the Packers play the Broncos or the Packers play the Ravens.
Kern and I will be live streaming that bad boy.
Yeah, we would, if we can somehow, between Raiders, Broncos, Ravens, if we can do some kind of a live stream with you just for that, it would be awesome. But even if we can't, Tom Grossi, thank you so much for everything you did for us a month ago to help us raise money for a phenomenal charity. And thank you so much for joining us tonight on this draft preview. I am without words. I know Dev has never lost. I know Maddie always has never lost, but it means the world to us that you joined us tonight.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, keep rocking, guys. I mean, again, this is a lot of fun. It was fun when I came on.
We're working. We've only been doing this podcast now for
10 weeks minus 1.
see, February, March.
10 weeks minus 1.
3
9
months.
weeks.
We've only been doing this for 3 months. So we're just kind of popping our cherry here. But the fact that you and Tree have embraced us as you have, it means the world to us. And you've always been there for us. We'll always be there for you. Thank you so much, Tom, for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
You mean the world to us, Tom. Thank you so much.
Take care, guys. You have a great night.
Stay safe.
You have a good one, Tom.
Take care,
Take
guys.
care, Tom.
Adios.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was
And
the
thank you
great,
to the Grossi
phenomenal,
posse as well.
Yeah, we appreciate all of y'all.
There's nothing I can say about Tom that Tom did not already say for himself. It was a great preview of the NFL first round, a little bit of wrestling talk, which I did not expect, but it's fucking Tom Grossi, so we're going to get into some wrestling talk. We will be coming to you next Thursday night live at 6:30 p.m. Central Time for the first round of the NFL draft. We will watch Maddie just...
Oh, no, Cap, that's this Thursday. This coming Thursday.
Yeah, this coming Thursday, yeah.
You said
we will watch Maddie just absolutely slither in sadness. We will watch Dev mourn in morose as Lamar Jackson gets traded out for a set of draft picks. And you will get to see me absolutely break down as the Raiders fuck up everything they try to do.
You guys are going to draft another quarterback.
Unfortunately.
Who likes mayo in his coffee?
Oh, yeah, my parlay failed.
That was
Cleveland
quick.
didn't score at all. So, and in
Well,
a very surprise, the Rockies beat the dog shit out of the Guardians. So
the Rockies won a game?
they beat the dog shit out of the Guardians.
I haven't even checked the scores. I've been doing this. So we have Maddie's Monday parlay that has already failed. We've got the man with the greatest hair in professional wrestling, Devin. I know Lamar Jackson is most likely going to be eschewing Baltimore for. It was like it was, in our text thread the other night, like cue the Sarah McLachlan sad music, with just a donation of $19.95 a month, you can adopt Lamar Jackson and send him to a team that actually gives a shit about him. But apart from that, we're going to be covering the NFL draft, the first round live, 6:30 p.m. Central Time this Thursday night. We don't know how long it's going to take, but we're going to be there and we're going to be having some fun.
Are there any musical performances during the draft? I don't
No,
think I've watched a draft.
No.
We got Paxton
Well,
Lynch.
I've heard Travis Kelce, because the draft is being held in Kansas City this year. Travis Kelce has like a concert that he's
lovely.
doing, which obviously this is NFL going NFL. It's Mahomes is the new Brady, as I said earlier. Anything he wants, he gets, and anything he doesn't want, he's going to get as well.
Mhm.
The Broncos most likely will not be drafting until Saturday.
We might get a second rounder, but that's if they actually choose to shop Judy or Sutton or both. Who knows? Might get 2 second rounders.
The Ravens are going to just kind of sit on their thumbs and shut them up their asses and give Lamar nothing to work with, unless they trade him to, I don't know, the CFL or, a team that desperately needs a quarterback, or he's just going to sit out. And then you have my Oakland Raiders, my Las Vegas Raiders, who are basically going to suck regardless of what they do because they're Raidered. They're not cursed, they're Raidered.
Raidered.
Yeah. Before we finish, we talked about this on Saturday Night Works about 48 hours removed from this. Your buddy Micah, what is the situation with the cock ransom? Because we have to get, it was such a big part of the show Saturday. What is the present state of the cock ransom?
They gave up. They had faced an opponent that had no fear, looked at them and was like, okay, you guys are helping me get laid. Thank you.
Well, can we get Micah on the show at some point to discuss this and or give us some kind of an understanding of what it is to be as well endowed, shall we say, as he is, and to explain to all of us what it's like to be a man with such penile prowess that he is able to have his appendage held for ransom. When we get Micah on the show to discuss said, what would be the right word to say? The
topic of conversation.
Yeah, a cocky conversation. Can we get Micah on to explain what the fuck happened here? Because I know we're going to have a Monday Raw Ball once the draft is done. We're kind of hanging in between, Red Sox, St. Louis, Red Sox, White Sox, or me hanging in behind that before training. We're going to need some cock talk. And as we discussed, Saturday night, hey, I got some good dick, and we need a night dedicated to some good dick, and hopefully Mike can provide that for
That
us.
was hilarious.
Yeah, I'll talk to him when he gets home. I'll definitely send a message to the
Micah
chat.
is prepared to come on screen.
Oh, he is.
And discuss what happened. We've already talked about, wag 'em, whole ass grown man t-shirts. I got some good dick. I think that's the next t-shirt idea.
And that's got to be like in like the old style bubble font.
Yep. Matt, did you see my message I sent you on Messenger?
Just now?
No, I sent it to you a while ago.
Which one?
About the Petco? Jesus, the Petco?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go.
Bet.
So essentially, we're winding up with, coming up, we got the show Thursday night, NFL draft coverage.
Back on Monday.
Socks and cards coming up, socks and socks. Hopefully, if Devin can talk to Micah and get him on for an interview for a cock talk.
Cock talk.
Yeah, some cock talk. We
also got Game of the Week this Sunday.
No, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks from now. Yeah, Dodgers and Padres 2 weeks from now Sunday. Hopefully, Dave will most likely be willing.
Dave will probably join us.
So, shit coming up through the summer. We're gonna be doing some hella fun stuff. Thanks again to Tom Grossi.
Thank you to the Grossi posse.
Yep, thank you all.
So, apart from the draft, the dick, and the other derivatives that we have mentioned, is there anything that the crew here wishes to promote or talk about? I know Maddie's got a Slamagories.
Yeah, I was about to say Wednesday I'll be on the Greg Cherry show, and I will be returning to game show hosting for Slamagories. It is my wrestling themed Jeopardy game show. So tune in to the Greg Cherry show this Wednesday at, I believe we're starting an hour early, so it should be about 4 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. Central. I could be an hour off.
The RAWBall podcast is getting their own trivia thing together. I've been collaborating with Mr. Matthew, with Mr. Devin. We're getting our own trivia thing put together. It's still in the working stages, but it's going to be fun. Whether you're a fan of recent professional wrestling, the Attitude Era, the Territory Era, or before that, it's going to be a nice little combination of game show, trivia, Jeopardy, and even a little Johnny Carson thrown in. Carnike the Magnificent. So we're still working on that. We're getting the details hashed out, but I'm sure it's going to be some fun. I've never hosted a trivia game show in my life.
You'll do fine.
Well, I'll do fine because I'll have you advising me, but also you as the candidate or as the contestant. So that is it for the Raw Ballers tonight. Just under 2 hours. Thank you again, Tom Grossi and the Grossi posse. My little brothers, Maddie and Dev Laws, family, La Familia. Love you guys to death.
We love you too, brother.
Family. It has been fun. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again in 72 hours, roughly, as we cover night one, first round of the NFL draft. And I got a feeling this shit's going to go off the rails within about 45 minutes to an hour of us even going on air.
Oh yeah.
So, Maddie, your finish line.
All right. This is a part in the show where I remind you to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hydrated. Ball out with the RAWBall podcast. We will see you this Thursday. Have a great night, everybody.